Hi, everybody. It's Saturday, September 7th, and I wanted to just check in with you all and see how your week was going, how your week went. We've been riding some really interesting waves of energy. So I promised you in the last video that I would do a second meditation and also share another meditation. I will do that in the coming days. But first I want to talk about energy. I've been noticing a lot of things. There's been a lot of frenetic energy going on. Trauma energy is really about we get into this spin cycle and our nervous systems get dysregulated. And so we begin to go, do. Trauma energy is doing energy. More calm and healed energy is more being, more presence. So when we embody, we can really anchor things in. When we embody, we can really feel, magnetize, attract, and stuff like that. But when we're in this heightened state, we start to spin and we get on this hamster wheel. So one of the things that I wanted to talk today about is that I've been noticing a lot of people around me who, we had some really good energy actually at the beginning of the week. And then it starts to get a little more frenetic and builds and then explodes a bit. So there are a couple things that could be happening, and I thought I'd share it with you in case you're going through this. So one is old trauma energy that's stored in our bodies. So if we dealt with any sort of trauma, and pretty much everybody on the planet has, we're the first generations that are really thawing out right now of these old trauma responses, whether it be from wars that were in our family lineages, from immigration, from abuse, alcoholism, things like that. We're really the first generations that are waking up and being aware that that's even physiologically in our bodies. It's stored in our bodies on multiple levels. So we're the first generations that are aware of it. We're also the first generations that are starting to do things like breath work. So breath, prana, moves energy through. It moves oxygen through each of the cells in your body. It oxygenates, it helps the blood flow. When we get sick, a lot of things happen. So our auric fields shrink. And so we get more disease states. We get more physically, mentally, emotionally ill. And that's also the oxygen in our body is not, our organs aren't getting oxygenated. Our cells aren't getting oxygenated. Then when our aura shrinks, what also happens is our energy centers start to get out of alignment. And each of our energy centers is like its own pharmacy. And if it gets off, either it gets moved out of center or it shrinks, then, things stop working. Our thyroid, that stops working, our pineal gland, our pituitary gland. So all of the different energy centers have some sort of adrenals, pituitary, or other system that gets shut down. So when we start to do breath work, that opens it up. When we start to do yoga, that opens it up. When we start to do meditation, that opens it up. So it's one of the reasons that you'll at least every month have one meditation, if not several. And it'll include different things, including breath work, and why I am really adamant about breath work. So I'm going to add in every once in a while a special breath work that I do, perhaps every month. But anyway, so we're the first generations that are really thawing out from trauma, and I'll talk more about that in coming days and videos and things like that. And so we really need to use these tools, even dancing, shaking. Animals are known that they, a deer caught in headlights, that's freeze, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, people pleasing is a human one, and or fawn as a deer. So what they do is every animal shakes every day, and that starts to get everything out of, freeze mode and begins to regulate your nervous system. So if you dance is an amazing form of healing and healing modality and practice that you can do. So a lot of us are really thawing out from trauma right now in the world. And so it's important to be aware in your day, in your week, what's going on. I tend to be somebody that people message and say, what's going on today? Is the energy escalated? And we can really see these forces. And there's many different forces that are going on right now. There's a lot of light energy that's pouring into the planet. And what does that do? It's a good thing. However, what it does is as that light energy begins to pour in, then it starts to shine light on shadow parts of us that are hidden in corners. So our self-doubt, our self-sabotage, our fears, our insecurities. And then they start to pop up, and we begin to react and trigger. And the key of using all these modalities is to become aware, there's a trigger, what's underneath that? So we can continue to go underneath and get out of that fight, flight, freeze, those trigger loops, that kind of spin cycle, that trauma, doing, and we can just stop and pause and take a deep breath. So that is really important right now for the world to remember. There are also external forces going on in the world right now. So external negative energies, darker energies that are going on. I mean, look at the media. We're constantly being bombarded. Look at social media. We're getting dopamine hits to get back on social media. We were trained often as little kids to please, whether that's as boys or girls in our own ways. We were trained, and I'll talk more about that probably another day. So it's really kind of getting that awareness. And then when we're in those states, like I notice sometimes I'll stop breathing, just taking a moment and taking a deep breath, or I'm holding my breath, or I'm holding my stomach, just doing some sort of breath work, whether it's a slow breath work or whether it's a fast breath of fire, really helping us to re-regulate our bodies. And then noticing how we're interacting with others, and are we isolating? That's often a trauma response. So these are all things that we'll look at and talk about in the coming days and weeks and months. But wanted to just share one last thing about that too, is we are also, as we look at trauma and healing, there's this pattern that often happens as we're about to break through. So we can either be in the energy of I want something, I need something, and that's a lack, a scarcity energy. And as we reach for, then what we resist persists. So we're going to push things out of us. Whereas if we feel like we already have it and we know we are in that vibration, then it will more easily magnetize. If we know we are whole, if we know it's coming, if we know it's done actually, if we're grateful for it being done. So one of the things that blocks goodness coming in is these old trauma patterns in our mind and in our body, in our organs, in our cells, in our lineages, that really keep us stuck in these loops. And so oftentimes one of them is that, well, joy just happened, so the other shoe's about to drop. And so we tighten and we clamp, and then we block whatever was about to flow in from actually flowing in. So our job right now is to be super aware, and when we notice that we're clenching, that we're spinning, that we're distracting, whether that be with devices, whether that be with work, whether that be with foods, whether that be dissociation, whatever that is, that we catch it and we start to really come back into our body, and we begin to center and start to heal. So just some words. If you've had a rough week, maybe look at my other meditation that we did for this month and jump into that. I'll also do a meditation probably tomorrow around fear of the unknown and fear of the future that also helps us to magnetize miracles. So you can use that for this coming week. I'll go ahead and post that tomorrow. Blessings and thank you.